Do they have that differs from the standard?
Well, they have a front beam on the standard Beetles, where the Super Beetles have the McPherson struts.
Right, that's right.
So they're set up much differently. Welcome back to the community, everybody, and thank you all for being part of it. I truly appreciate it. Today, we are doing a personal interview with a gentleman named Adam, who just purchased his 71 Super Beetle. So he's on his way here, so let's take a look at it and get to know him, and I'll catch up with you and end with some important things to say. Welcome back to the community, everybody, and thank you all for being part of it. Today, we have an interview. We have something special. His name is Adam.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for being here. He has a 1971 Volkswagen Super Beetle, as you can see, and he just picked it up recently. So let's get up a little bit more close and personal, take a look at the car, get to know Adam, and check the car out. So come on in. So Adam, we have a 71 here. And did you own a Volkswagen before this?
No, this is my first one.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. And is there something that turned you on to the old air-cooled Beetles? Is this something you've looked at for a while?
Well, my father, his first car was actually a 69 standard Beetle.
Right.
And he's told me multiple stories about it, about how much fun he had with it. And over the years, he had a couple of rabbits, but he always looked back on his first one with, a lot of fondness. And
yeah.
So I grew up hearing stories about them.
Right,
and
right.
It always kind of seemed like it was something that I might look into one day. And, sometimes fate knocks on the door and you're home for once.
It does. And that's true. It really does. I mean, now, did you have to travel far for this? Did you find it online?
Believe it or not, right over the hill.
Oh, okay.
Right. There's a fellow subscriber of the community lives right around the corner, and
oh, okay.
I got put in touch with him, and he said, hey, my buddy's selling one right around the corner, so about 20 minutes from my house is as far as I had to go.
Nice, nice. And it does look like it's in decent condition. It really does.
Well, it's important to note that I wouldn't have come this far without a couple of special subscribers, which, if you're watching, thank you. Again, I know I've told you thank you dozens of times, but here it is once again on film for evidence.
Right, right.
So, and I've learned a lot from them, and it's really given me a lot of confidence to know that, like, okay, I can see what this problem is, and right. I know where to go next with it, at very least.
And it's nice because the bigger portion of the Volkswagen community, they are very helpful,
yes.
And when I even opened up the Slades VW community on Facebook, I was hoping that people would help each other because I don't have time to be on there every day like that, but I have noticed that a lot of the folks on there jump on there and help each other. So it's really a nice thing. I mean, these cars have stood the test of time. 21 million of them sold. I'm still amazed by that.
Me too.
But back in the day, they were cheap. Now, not as much as they used to be.
So when we bought the car, it hadn't driven for about a year. It was sitting over the winter, and of course the starting problems.
Yeah.
So we drove it from where we bought it to my friend's house. We kept it there for a couple of weeks, and we drove from his house to mine, which was about same distance as here, about a 20-minute drive. And
right.
She was warm. She was a little warm to the touch.
Right.
Since then, we've done some adjustments, and this is the second time that it's gone that far since I bought it, and nothing to complain about, really.
Good. What we'll do, I'm going to go ahead and grab hold of the camera. We're going to have Adam show us the car because I'm really interested. This is like a survivor, and especially where we live northeast, that it's really a big thing to find survivors around here. Right. So let's take a look at it, sit back and enjoy. Okay, so Adam's going to show us around here. We'll take a walk around the car first with him and see what everything looks like. It actually is very presentable. It honestly is. I mean, the car could be a lot worse. We are northeast, so usually they are just rotted to death. But this one here honestly does look like a very presentable car.
Well, there was only a few places that there was exterior rot noticeable, and
Right.
I attempted to kind of hide it as best I could, but whoever repaired it,
Right.
they went the route of, instead of filling it with Bondo and calling it a day, they actually did weld in new panels.
Okay.
Now this one was not, this one is kind of sinking in a little bit. You
Right.
can see a little bit of daylight on the inside, but I don't consider that a major problem.
No.
The one on the other side was done very well, but other than the black paint, the primer on it, you can't even tell it's there.
Right, right.
So,
And you're going to have that on these older cars.
Right.
I mean, I'm checking the rain gutters here. They're nice and solid. They're really in good condition. And the one thing that you have to watch with on these a lot, and it seems okay, is back here, as everybody remembers, the death foam area. So this one here didn't seem to suffer that. So that's actually a good thing. But truthfully, for our area, it's actually solid looking.
it's had some repairs to it,
Right.
body-wise, but it did sit out for a number of years, so somebody did take the time to try to basically resurrect it.
Right,
And-
absolutely.
And as I mentioned, ignore my terrible last-minute paint job, but this side was a lot smoother of a weld panel.
Right, right.
It was matched a lot better.
But this is all stuff that can be fixed and touched up fairly easily.
Exactly.
you
I
know.
certainly agree.
And you're going to be using it as a driver. So, I mean, it's actually in really nice condition. Are the floor pans clean? They solid?
So I'm very glad you asked. Now, save for the dirt that you see on them right now,
Mm-hmm.
they are brand new. I want to
Okay.
say that the new floor pans were installed within about a year or two ago.
Okay.
And if you look under the car, which obviously we can't, you can see that reflected as well. Whoever
Right.
put the floor pans in this car did a very good job of it.
Good, good. And that's the main thing.
New heater channels as well, I was told.
Well, with new floors and heater channels, you're in good condition then. Nice flat dash. And look what we have here. We have a cassette player. How cool is that? I see some of these on eBay once in a while that are still in operating condition.
Open the glove box.
Let me take a look here.
If you look past my wallet, you'll see that I'm prepared to use the cassette deck once it...
Oh, yeah. See, this is great. I love stuff like that. I actually was going to do a retro sound in my car, but I think I'm going to find a old cassette player. But I see you got your fire extinguisher.
That was one of the first things I did.
And you can see, look at these heater channels. They did a nice job. You can see how solid this is. And that is awesome. You don't see that too much. Dash pads in good condition. Very mild crack. Easy fix, honestly. The headliner, it's a shame there's some pieces missing back there, but this is a non-sunroof car, so the headliners are really not that bad to do in these, in all honesty. Just panning around here, taking a look. The seats are actually in good condition, in all honesty. There's a rip here, but these are covered very easily with these cars.
The question I had, actually, while you're here, is if you look under, it almost appears like you have a whole other seat.
They slip covers over.
They slipped the cover over it.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay.
And they're actually really easy to go ahead and reupholster these. They sell the kits. They're really not that bad to do. They actually fit them pretty tight.
That's what I was curious about, of what the original interior color of this car would have been. Would it match the headliner?
The headliners seem to always be white. And I have seen black ones, but they usually always seem to be white for some reason. I'm not sure why. And you'll need some door panels. We can get that worked out.
Of course.
We can go down to the salvage yard and get those. So that's not a problem there.
Little tight on the hand cranks, but it does go. We do have positive windage.
I actually have a video on that where you can clean the trackings and everything, and I'll send you a link to that. It's easy to do, and they'll wind up very smooth.
Oh, that'd be great.
I like this.
Oh my! Are you referring to the
raised
lettering?
white lettering. How cool is that?
That was the second thing I did. I thought, you know, these wheels look they're in phenomenal shape.
Yeah,
and the
they
chrome
are. They are.
poverty caps look great. It needed just a little something else.
And that's cool. I like raised white letters. That was a big thing back in the 60s, the 70s.
That's what my whole thought was.
Yeah. Yeah, you're trying to take it back to where it was. Can you pop the trunk? We'll take a look. Some tools, which is a great thing.
Little roadside repair kit, some zips, some electrical tape, some
There we
wrenches,
go.
and some hose clamps just in case we pop one out.
Well, of course.
The one other thing that the owner mentioned to me that I immediately thought, the previous owner I should say, was it appears to come with the original toolkit.
Could be old Bilstein jack. That's the old jack that came with it. That is really cool.
That's what I thought too.
It's nice when you get older original things with them.
Absolutely.
That is nice.
Spare.
Got your spare tire there.
And now
Looks like we have an electronic windshield washer. That's what that is, instead of running it off the air pressure.
There's not even a valve cover on that. So
that's okay.
So obviously the condition in here we talked about briefly. It is in pretty good shape. I am finding lots of little doodads and little minor fixes that I can work on.
And I told him he has just a little work to do on the one strut area. Nothing crazy. This one's clean over here. So that'll take a little bit of metal work. I'll see how I can help him out with that.
Now, when I got the car, it appeared that someone was already in the process of maybe the prior owner was maybe trying to restore it or have it repainted. But my guess is he kind of gave up, because the impression I got is between the mechanical work, the electrical work, and the body work, I think he kind of just got to the point where he said, this is enough for me.
Yeah, right.
So when I got it, the roof was a primered gray. It was already primered and sanded and ready.
Okay.
So I took it upon myself, just because I was tired of looking at the gray. I found a paint on the shelf, a Rust-Oleum paint that almost identically matches the color of the car. Right. To the point where I'm amazed of how close it looks.
It actually is. If you had not said anything, I wouldn't have caught it. But that's okay. You touched it up to keep from any more failure. You kind of sealed it.
All I did was one coat. This was one coat, one can.
Right.
I'm well aware that I probably, and then a couple bugs may have landed on it in the process, but it's better than the gray.
They can always be wet sanded off.
Exactly. And after doing that, I wasn't originally planning on painting the car, but after I realized that Rust-Oleum makes a paint, it was Canyon Green, I want to say.
Right.
That so closely matches, I figured, why not?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it worked out great. In all sincerity, it really did.
And I even see where I came down here a little bit, right under it, and it looks, if it looks this good on one coat, with sanding and a little bit more prep and a little bit maybe more of a, educated, application, I think it would bring this car back to,
oh yeah, absolutely,
fully bring it back.
Absolutely. Okay, Adam, can we take a peek under the deck lid?
Absolutely.
All righty. Oh yeah. Now it looks like you just put a carburetor on there.
Yes, this will be, since I brought it home, the third carburetor that has been in this car.
Oh geez, third?
The first one that came on the car, definitely old. It would kind of match the condition of the rest of the engine bay, as you can tell.
Right.
So we took it out, and I was actually able to get another carburetor off of another subscriber who lives nearby. We were having some problems with the idle screw. It didn't really quite seem to want to affect anything.
Okay.
May or may not have dropped it when I bought it. We'll just pretend that didn't happen.
Right.
It's a good Solex one that I bought off my friend. It's worth a rebuild.
Right,
So I'm sure one day we'll get to that.
Oh yeah.
That was a $60 carburetor that I bought off Amazon.
And it works fine.
Flawlessly.
Do you want to start it up for us?
I'd be happy to, yes.
Good. We can give it a couple second run here. Wow.
Whoop, come on, baby.
This motor sounds very healthy. It really does. It was sitting now.
Oh, she's fighting a little bit. Come on,
yeah,
dear.
It's rubbing it up though. There we go. It was sitting. I'm sure it still needs set up, the timing and everything.
We did actually set the timing
Uh-huh.
already on the car.
Okay.
Now, there's still, I'm sure, some minor adjustments to be made, but
Right.
we didn't have any issues coming over here with power.
The motor itself sounds really nice and tight. It really does. That's just some, you still have some adjustments, that's all. But you just drove it almost a half hour a little earlier and it was fine.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not hearing no knocking, no nothing. It sounds really, really good. Very, very nice.
That might be something we could adjust real briefly.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
Now, an interesting thing to note is that this is not the original engine of the car.
Okay.
Along
And that's normal with these.
And along with, so the engine and transmission are both out of a 74 Super Beetle.
Okay.
And it was out of a red Super Beetle. And you may be asking me how I know this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the fellow that painted the one that this was used to be in, he kind of forgot to, you know, block off the engine vents. So
Right.
I'm assuming that's why both my fan shroud and my air filter are a nice, lovely shade of candy apple red.
This is actually a very solid car.
As mentioned, she does need a little bit of love, as they all do.
Well,
and
of course. Of course.
the one thing, you know, that I'm sure I'll have questions on is, as you can see, the firewall is a little, you know, non-existent in some areas.
Right.
And that's something I'm sure we'll also would like to look into working on.
Well, we can sound deaden it and put new tarboard on. I mean, we're here for you. That's not a problem. And luckily, you're not that far from me. Is it okay if we just take a ride up the street together?
Absolutely.
Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's do it. All right.
Perfect.
All righty. So, we're going to take a little ride here. Right up the street. We got to turn around. So give me a second, we'll be right back. And here we go. The motor sounds really nice. It really does. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it honestly feels nice and solid.
It does, and you know, I think that's a big complaint that it seems like a lot of people have. I don't understand why all the hate on Super Beetles.
No, they actually are, I think they're superior. I know people get mad when I say that, but however, they really are a much smoother ride. I'll take you for riding my Standard when it's done and you'll see the difference. They're a little bit more rougher.
People love them.
Everybody honks at the Super Beetles. I should say Standard too.
Hey,
I didn't even go to say that.
Hey, well, they like the Super Beetle. I'm sure they can't tell the difference, but
right. A lot of people can't, in all honesty.
It's even still taking me a while to identify them.
Right.
You know, and they to me, a lot of them look alike.
Oh, they do. They do. To the average person, I hope that doesn't sound rude, but they do look the same to everybody. But the Super Beetles ride very smooth. They really, really do.
What kind of suspension do they have that differs from the Standard?
Well, they have a front beam on the Standard Beetles, where the Super Beetles have the McPherson struts.
Right, that's right.
So they're set up much differently. Okay, we can make right here.
Got a nice little Golf sitting right there.
Yeah, that's my buddy Chuck. That's a nice car.
I really like what he's doing with the paint on that.
Yep.
I love the look.
Stripped it out. He wanted that rust look, and it really looks nice. Very, very nice. I really appreciated the quick ride here.
No, of course.
It's truthfully a great car.
It is truly a lot of fun to ride around in. I'm
Yeah.
still getting used to Standard.
Right.
And finding all the gears, but
Right.
it really is. It's a lot of fun.
But you get used to them. You
Right.
do, in all honesty.
Right.
I mean, this is a nice, solid car.
Honestly, with the interior, you know, the speedometer, I assume, is working.
Right.
Fuel gauge doesn't work, so I've kind of just been, you know, feeding her the onions
Yeah.
here and there a little bit just to make sure she's got enough.
Right.
Horn doesn't work on here, but
that's all simple fixes.
oh, they installed
Got a little
push
button.
Yeah, which was funny because when the owner was driving it and demonstrated to me, I was like, how come there's no horn? And then I started poking around. I was like, I wonder if this is the horn. Yep.
That's normal.
Absolutely.
Those are all easy fixes. Okay, let's step outside here. Okay, so we did a short ride, which was great. I didn't want to make him drive all over the place out here. But you were saying about a starting issue.
Yes. So when I got it, and again, no prior mechanical experience,
right?
You know, and enough electrical to act like I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But we went through what we thought could be, you know, typical causes, and the first was a new battery.
Yeah.
So that was a whole fun in itself because I kept buying batteries from, you know, the auto parts store that were just not good off the shelf.
Right.
As you would. So I finally got one that worked. Problem persisted. So hey, maybe it needs a new starter.
Right.
Put a new starter in. Problem persisted. So we pretty much determined at that point it's an electrical issue.
Okay.
Now, whether this was something, excuse me, that I learned from Slades or, you know, community members or just general digging.
Right.
A hard start relay comes up a lot in conversation.
Yes, it does.
Now, with these cars, as you can see the condition of the wiring. Wiring over the course of time, it cracks, it gets faded.
Oh, yeah.
It breaks.
Dry rot. Yeah.
Dry rot is real bad. So roughly between the battery, the ignition coil, or not the ignition coil rather, but the ignition column and back, there's about 10 feet of wire in there that could potentially be dry rotted or damaged.
Oh, yeah.
So essentially we did a hard start relay, which essentially bypasses all that.
Yes.
All it relies on is just using a signal to the relay from the ignition to open power from the battery to the starter.
Right.
And if you want to step in here, I can show you, I kind of have that done.
Okay.
I installed this little relay right here, which these are supposed to be bolted to the car.
Right.
We're just going to pretend that it's not right now because there was not enough slack off the starter wire to do so.
Okay.
But you can pick up all the parts, all the wire, all the fittings at any auto parts store. And it was about a 5 or 10 minute project.
Right.
And essentially it fixed the problem immediately. I've had no problem starting the car since.
The hard start relay is a big thing on these.
It is.
A lot of people do that, in all honesty. So that is something that is a big help. I should probably do a video on it, and I never think about it.
It's a real easy fix, and it's something that even they say if you are not having starting problems, it really cannot hurt to do.
Yes.
Unless you plan on replacing all the wiring, which I will eventually do, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But it was a good way to just get it started and get back driving on the road.
Right. Now, one thing you'll want to do is take an old rubber floor mat and cut it to the size of the top of the battery and put it over it. Because one thing, and you're new to it, this is normal. If you see the metal pieces, the springs and these seats, when people sit down on them, they ground out and hit the battery post.
And you don't want that.
So that's bad. But that's one thing. And I just wanted to show viewers that you want to put a piece of rubber over top of the battery. These doors shut really nice. Look how even everything lines up. I mean, they close so easily.
Now, the only thing is I won't run her through a car wash anytime soon. And the reason is, if you look here, we got a little bit of crumblage.
Those are easy to fix.
Of course.
Yes. Get some good, I got Brazilian ones for mine, or German, and I'll show you. I have a video on how to put them on.
I feel like some adhesive and a stick and a knife.
Yeah, you just pretty much adhesive, and then you shut the door and don't open it for 3 days.
But
so it has pressure.
But that is something I do remember you saying, that, I mean, with older cars, you can't, when they still close without any kind of weird noise and they get good closure, I feel like that's a sign of a solid car,
It is a very solid car. Okay, so we got to go for a nice little ride there. I didn't want to take him too far. The car's still new to him too, you know what I mean? So, but let me ask here before we sign off for the day, do you have any future plans what you really want to tackle with this?
Yes. So I've kind of been on the fence about a lot of things that can be done with the car because, as well, many of you might know, you can pump as much money as you want into something.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can spend outrageous amounts.
Yeah.
And kind of my whole thing is, how much of this can I learn to do on my own? And
Right.
of course, I have you, I have the whole community.
Yes. Yes, you
know,
do.
and
yes.
it's basically gonna be a matter of just finding the parts and finding the time. But
Right.
the great part is I have a garage at my house that
Good. That's a bonus.
well, I'm kind of trying to transform it into, like, you know, the garage.
Right. Right.
So,
right.
you know, the plan is over the winter to start digging into the interior, because as you have probably seen, it's a little rough. But with the right, you know, resources and, you know, guidance, I really would like to hope to get the interior completely redone, put a new radio in it. The speaker, you couldn't see. I know we kind of briefly glanced by it. The speaker was bad. I pulled it out. Antenna. I basically want to keep this car as original as possible.
Yeah.
I don't want to do any kind of, you know, modifications, which, as you
Right.
said, is completely fine to do for
It's
some.
fine. When you're doing bolt-on modifications where you can simply say, okay, I'm going back to the stock wheels or something, you know. Yeah, I'm modifying my seats kind of extreme, but it is what it is.
It's
I mean,
it's not in a way that doesn't look like it doesn't match the car.
right, right. Yeah, I used low back buckets and they came in the 60s Beetles, so
Right.
it's not a big deal. I
Exactly.
mean, in yours, anything you do cosmetically that you're going to bolt on is fine too, because you can always reverse it. You have a nice solid structure to start off of, and you know, I don't see that often. A lot of times in our area, Northeast, you end up with one where it needs pans, it needs heater channels, and the body's off the car before you know it, and that's fine. But I think for, you know, private reasons, what he told me he paid, you actually did really good.
And I feel,
I mean,
I feel very lucky about that fact,
Yeah.
because I'm not going to lie, about a week after I bought it, and then, you know, after I got it home, I had a couple restless nights over what did I get myself into? Is this
we
gonna
all do that.
You know, and
Yeah.
this was kind of before I found the community. I had friends in the community, but everyone said, you'll be fine, it's all right. And I'm like,
Yeah, you still get apprehensive.
you still get
feelings.
apprehensive,
Yeah,
but you know,
do.
from talking,
Yes.
you know, briefly and just kind of driving it, you know, today, like I said, I drove about, I want to say about 10, 12 miles to get here and didn't have any hang-ups or knocks
Right.
or anything. Not to say that problems will arise.
Oh, of course. I mean, but the thing is, the motor does sound solid. I know it's wanting to stall right now. That's almost like a vacuum or an adjustment. However, the motor itself does sound solid. It doesn't have any knocks or taps going on. And sometimes these will sound like a sewing machine. They're supposed to. That's
Right.
That's normality for them. But I mean, your motor, you could tell, is a solid engine.
I got lucky because the gentleman that I purchased this off of was moving, and the impression I got was he had a couple motorcycles, a couple cars, and it was just another car to have the trailer and haul. Maybe I got lucky, but at the same time, you know, I am very grateful for it, and I'm very excited for what the future
And
holds.
you deserve it. You deserve a good car. I could tell the minute I met him today, his personality, he's very excited about it, very respectful, and you deserve this. You'll end up with a very, very nice car. You really will. Adam, it was my pleasure. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
I appreciate him taking out the time to show us and take us for a quick ride. I think you did really good, and we look forward to the future of you posting on the Facebook group. Take pictures, show us stuff you do, and if you need anything, we're all here for you.
Of
There's
course.
no doubt.
And I feel that same joy looking at when other people post, you know, like, look what I did it, I fixed it, you know,
Yeah.
thanks for the help.
It feels good.
It does, and
It
it
does.
really brings me joy to see people that are kind of going through the same things that I am, and they're
Right.
succeeding, and I wish nothing for the best for those people.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's one massive group that's turned out to be really close in this community. It was my goal to set out a club-style community where everybody helped each other across the globe, and it's worked out great. And I'm glad we have a new guy here that's part of it now. So another handshake. Thanks so much. It was great meeting you.
It was a pleasure.
I'll close out in a minute here. Sit back and relax. And nice meeting you, Adam. Thanks for taking out the time, my friend. It is always great meeting new folks. Outstanding. Okay, let's close out here. And there you have it. Thank you, Adam, for taking out the time and coming over and letting me interview you and check out your cool Super Beetle. I want to thank everybody. This has been great. I have a lot of videos backed up in the computer that I have to edit, where people were sending in their self-interviews, where they send them to me. You're more than welcome to do that. There's no doubt. And if you're close by, we can do a personal interview like we did. So thank you everybody for being here today. Much more to come. We got to keep doing our DIY videos, and I'll see you soon.